Listen. Welcome to the LME live stream. If you haven't been here before, it's pretty much just a casual stream that we do where we just talk about the movies that have come out in this week. Hopefully, put some good ones on your radar. But with the live chat that's on right now as well, you guys tend to give us a lot of good ones as well. But we call this Letterboxd Mondays because I do a terrible job at logging all the movies that I've seen. But this is a perfect way to do it. As always, I am joined by my good buddy Zach. Zach, say what's up.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Glad to be back for another Letterboxd Monday. Let's get into what we're watching.
We got a good amount of stuff that we've been watching this week. Like I said, we like to go through the stuff that we watched during the week, and then we're going to answer your questions afterwards. But I always love hearing what you guys have to say, so definitely let us know your thoughts on the chat, because this is a live stream, on your thoughts for some of the movies that we'll be logging in here. I try to do them in order in terms of what I like the most. So if you've caught the show, you kind of know how it goes. If you're new here, let's get right into it. The first one and the best one of the week, without a doubt, Lovers Rock. I feel like if you've been tuning into the show, it's kind of like when the viewers on the live chat ask us for our thoughts on the same movie that we already talked last week. I feel like this is our version of just talking about the same movie every week, but
Yep.
it's new Steve McQueen. And now that it's officially out for everyone to see, this is the second in the anthology. I'm not exactly sure what you want to call it, but it's the 5 Steve McQueen episodes slash movies that are all up on Amazon Prime being released weekly. We talked about Mangrove last week. Lovers Rock is this week. We've talked about our Intercut. I'll be making a full LME. Zach, gush about Lovers Rock just a little bit.
I mean, we've talked about it being Steve McQueen, but bears repeating that
Mm-hmm.
it's just a master filmmaker giving us just an absolutely delightful movie. And that's one of the interesting things about Lovers Rock, is that despite the fact that Steve McQueen is perhaps our foremost chronicler of misery in cinema right now, he made this 70-something minute ode to the loving embrace of a party, right? Like how wonderful it is to be around people in a room where there's loud music playing, where you've come to celebrate, and just being in that kind of an environment. It's the type of movie where you feel like you can smell the food being cooked and you can hear the creaking of the floorboards and you feel like you're a part of this really cool vibe. I
Mm-hmm.
love all the scenes of music, seeing people dancing together, and like the intimate shots of like a hand slipping down the back of somebody, and just singing along to Silly Games is such a great scene. One of the best scenes in film this year. Lovers Rock is beautiful, man.
It's
Probably my favorite from the 3 small axe movies that we've got to see so far.
I second everything you said. If you haven't caught this movie, I've seen this bad boy 3 times. It's dope that it's over on Amazon, so you can literally catch it right now. When we talked a little bit about this on Intercut, I was like, I'm not really a big fan of dancing in movies. It's because I've never seen dancing like this. I gave it 4 stars. It was one of my favorites. But my favorite is coming out next week, so this is just a great way to jump on the series called Small Axe if you can. If you have Amazon Prime, definitely go check it out. Because
Do you
Amazon.
have
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you have strong feelings about the film Twitter debate of the day, whether Small Axe is movies or TV, or maybe both?
Oh, I have the biggest one because you and I have been talking about this since the beginning days of Intercut. I think that they have meshed together. I think the way that film festivals have treated these, not playing them in order, showcases that they're not necessarily episodic things that you need to
Hmm.
watch in order. Steve McQueen straight up said they were movies to him.
Yep.
I think I'm going to take his word for it. But on top of that, it's the fact that even Amazon then calls it episodes, but in reality, what they're building is an anthology, because that's also what they reference it as. So to me, I've been saying there's going to be an amalgamation of the two. I mean, we're having this discussion right now. Meanwhile, film festivals are contemplating putting video games into their lineup. So to me, they're movies. They're cinematic masterpieces that I would have wanted to see in a theater easily, especially some of the shots in this one. In particular, this shot right here that you see in the poster. So I would consider them movies, but we really are getting to that point in time where um, if you're watching it on TV, what are you considering it? A lot of people, a movie is something that's in the cinema. Well, in the age of streaming, it's a little different. But this one did play at New York Film Festival. It's played in several places. Now you can play it in the comfort of your own home. Call it a movie, call it a TV show. I call it a masterpiece. So that's my say right there. The next one that we have up is Zappa.
very cool documentary from Alex Winter, who
Right?
obviously is much more well known for being half of Bill and Ted. But Alex Winter is actually becoming quite the documentarian. I liked a documentary he made a couple of years ago about the dark web, and he's done stuff on Napster and other interesting topics. But I think it's a really good match for this material and telling the story of Frank Zappa, which is hard to contain to just one documentary, given what a far-reaching career Zappa had.
Um, so you did catch this one.
Yeah, I got a screener of it, so I caught it a little after you, but I did get to see it. It's an awesome documentary.
Right? It's dope. I would highly recommend this one. At this point in time, I believe it is only like it doesn't pop out here, but it is supposed to be out on VOD. If you're able to catch it at a virtual fest and you're a big fan of Zappa, I know about the man because I grew up with a mom who was a radio host, so she knows a lot about rock music and everything. But this man is just an intriguing individual, and the way that he approached his craft, and the way that he was so against, the corporatization and just a capitalistic way of having to run things that he considered art, right? But it's the way that you tour it, and you are kind of covering the jobs of so many people. But he always looked at it from his perspective, not so much a rock star, even though he is, but he ran an orchestra, he had these big symphonies that he was orchestrating, and he just realized how expensive they were. And he always said, I'm just trying to make my music, what I'm writing down. I want to get the best orchestra to get a good recording of it. And then if y'all want to hear it, I will make it available for you as well. The way he fought censorship, the way he fought a lot of things, in terms of a documentary, I think it was very well documented, the way that Alex Winter was able to work with Zappa's wife and his family, and just being able to tell the story in a way that doesn't paint him in, it doesn't sugarcoat whenever he was at a crisis.
Right.
It really gets into it and everything that he went through in his artistic adventure. So I would highly recommend it. I very much enjoyed this one. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. It's not an all positive promotional piece, right? It's not
Nope.
something that's just talking about what a great and important person Zappa was. It definitely gets into his faults. But it also is something that will help you understand quite what an important figure he was through this documentary. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I highly recommend that one. Check it out if you have the chance, and let me know of any Zappa other stuff that you would recommend, because I thought it was interesting that his biggest hit single was Valley Girl, and then he wanted to go do something with an orchestra, and they were like, I don't know about that, sir. But he was like, nah, this is art. It's art no matter which way you look at it. Making a pop song and making a big symphony, it's art. Another one that I want to move on to right here is Buoyancy. I got to see this one at a film festival. Now it's out on VOD. I may be mistaken in saying that Ava DuVernay's company may have picked this one up. I'm not exactly sure, but I really enjoyed this one. That's a very iffy way to put it, because I think it's a great movie, but it's also the movie about a Cambodian boy being sold to these fishing people who aren't necessarily hiring you for a job. It's human trafficking. And the director had talked about how he specifically had seen a lot of this happen in Cambodia, and he wanted to tell that story and not necessarily sugarcoat it. And a lot of it takes place in sea. It is beautifully shot, but it is daunting. A lot of the stuff that goes on in this movie, it's hard to watch, but it's based off of a true story. It's based off of true stories that he's seen. And it's something that, because they get so much money from it, right? It's an industry. If you've seen stuff like The Cove, if you've seen any movies dealing with a big fishing community and how much money is made out of that, you know that they will overlook several things in order to be able to, not disrupt the economic things that they get from it. And in this case, it just so happens to be a whole cycle of human trafficking that's happening. But again, this is a pretty good movie. Highly recommend it. But know that it's not. Most of you will want to catch it in streaming, because if Ava picked it up, there's a chance this may go to Netflix. But I personally would give it a junior price because of the performances and the story that it tells. Highly recommend it.
Very cool. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
You know anything about it?
No, I hadn't heard about it until you brought it up to me. So I'm definitely curious about this one.
It's pretty dope. This one, you got to take this one away, because you got this one at Sundance, and it's now playing on Amazon Prime.
No, actually, Amanda was the one of us who got it at.
Was she the only one who got it? Okay, I think she gave it a thumbs up.
Yeah, she definitely gave it a thumbs up way back in January. I caught it at New Fest, the LGBT fest that we were watching movies from recently. And it's a good movie written and directed by Alan Ball, who you may know as the guy who's won an Oscar for writing American Beauty, or the guy who created both True Blood and 6 Feet Under, iconic HBO shows. This one, set in 1973, follows a man named Frank who goes on a trip with his 18-year-old niece where they learn a lot about each other, including she learns that Frank is gay, and Frank is gay at a time where it's not that easy to be an out gay person, particularly when we are from certain parts of the country that are less accepting of an alternate lifestyle is, I think, the preferred nomenclature at that time.
Yeah.
But just, being who you are is how we would talk about it now. And I think there's certain moments in this film that are maybe a little bit treacly and a little bit sappy. I don't know if the flashback stuff, talking about some of the trauma in Frank's past, really worked for me. But when it is this family sitting down and dealing with each other, and when it is about how people can be good and can surprise you for the better, there's a lot that I found very charming about this movie. It's a pleasant watch with a really great Paul Bettany performance at its center. I thought it was very good.
I would agree. Hopefully, I just want to mention for those who were watching the live stream last week, hopefully the trailers are working and we're not getting it. I was listening back to it. Now I understand why people were so upset. The audio was just blaring, but hopefully it's playing well. And hopefully you guys check this one out too, because I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we had talked about also another film that we had caught called Breaking Fast, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about over on Intercut, also from New Fest, that had a similar story, but kind of like swapped. That would have been focusing on the boyfriend's character over Paul Bettany. So you kind of got like a twofer if you want to catch that. But I thought this was pretty good, especially because I don't know how many of you know about Paul Bettany's story. He was almost going to quit Hollywood. And then Ultron happened, and now he's been good, and, at least he doesn't have to play a robot here. I thought he did a pretty good job here. Sophia Lillis did fantastic as well. But overall, pretty decent film. You can catch it over on Amazon Prime. And personally, I think it could have been longer. It was only 95 minutes, and I was like,
yeah,
y'all could have added a couple of stuff to this, and I think it would have worked out.
It's a quick sit.
So definitely check that one out if you are interested in catching that. But if you wanted a little bit of a thriller, there is this South Korean flick that came out on Netflix called The Call. Funny enough. It's The Call on here, but it's Call on Netflix. I'm not exactly sure. It was fun. Like, I want to give it 4 stars, but there's a certain thing that happens in it. Pretty much you have this woman who moves into a house, and as she is walking around, she gets a phone call. But the phone call is also coming from someone within the house. They're just not there. They were there decades earlier. And it's this conversation that they're having with each other, and how they kind of play with like time and things. And it's this really cool thriller, and how it's not just how is this working, but also can you trust the other person at the end of the line? And I thought it was beautifully shot. There's a lot of CGI sequences that happen throughout the film as well that are very immersive. They're kind of like David Fincher-ish, like the way he's able to cut from one scene to another. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie. There is a point, though, now, looking at both actresses, because it was funny. I had just seen her in Alive. I thought she did a great job there. I even talked about her performance in Miracle in Cell No. 7. Park Shin-hye, I think, does the best job. But she's from Burning. And in this performance, she is playing an all-out... I don't want to spoil too much. She has a lot to do. And there's certain aspects of her performance that I think may go a little over the top, but I can see people liking it. But they do go for a cliche. They go for a trope towards the end of it that I personally am not the biggest fan of. And then there's yet again another trope that happens. But I think for fans of South Korean thrillers, this is a good one to add to your list. I was never bored at any point. You do kind of question how some of the intricacies work with the timelines and such. But overall, I thought it was pretty dope. It's over on Netflix. If you wanted to catch it, you could catch it over on Netflix. That was pretty interesting,
Yeah, I mean, South Korea is consistently one of the best exporters of film. Obviously, that gave us Parasite not too long ago, but even beyond the films of Bong Joon-ho, there's a lot of great South Korean filmmakers. So another one to check out if you're looking for more films from them.
Yes, sir. Now talk about this next one, because you had recommended it to me. I caught it, and I was completely depressed.
Yeah, this one is not necessarily the easiest hang, but definitely intentionally so. 76 Days is a new documentary. It's a very intimate look at the beginnings of the COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan. The film starts when Wuhan went into its first lockdown back in January, and it follows the goings on at this hospital. But this hospital does kind of seem like more of a pop-up medical facility
Hmm.
since they're scrambling to try and figure out a way to bring in these patients with this at the time unknown really disease, which has all these qualities that we are have come to find out, but at that time just are these threatening aspects that doctors are doing their best to contain. And this documentary gives you such a fly on the wall look at what it must have been like in those early, very scary days in China, at how they handled this. And it's the kind of documentary where there's moments throughout where it just so perfect in terms of giving you the conflict of the situation that it almost could be scripted just that same way. There's a character, or I should say a person, who I'll only refer to as Grandpa,
Oh my goodness,
who
that man.
you just go through such a roller coaster of emotions with his stay in this hospital throughout this documentary. It's a fantastic look at what people had to do, how doctors had to react to the COVID-19 situation. Uh, and yeah, not the most fun movie to watch, obviously, but an expertly made one. It even just got a Gotham nomination for Best Documentary of 2020.
Hmm.
So a lot of people have felt this way about this film. One of the best documentaries you'll probably see in 2020. I definitely recommend 76 Days.
Yeah, I know it's playing at a buttload of festivals. It says it's coming out December 4th, and interestingly enough, MTV Docs picked it up. So
Mm.
yeah, we'll see how they're going to release this one. I thought the backstory to it, because it's the director is Hao Wu, and he had other assistant directors who were helping him because he wasn't there. He was actually editing it from, and I'm over here playing the next trailer, but he was back here in the States, I believe, and he had two other directors. One who was credited, but the other one wanted to remain anonymous, as you can see right here. And they were the two who captured everything. One of them was able to capture like the very shaky, just in the moment shots, while the anonymous director was capturing portraits. And you can see the difference. There are moments when they're in there with the tense things that are happening, and then there's this storyline of a woman trying to find her child who she gave birth to, but she can't see the kid, and you can see that was the anonymous director, and the way that he was able to photograph everything, because they're both journalists who just capture things differently, and it was up to the main writer director Hawu, who was able to collect all that footage and create something of it. And when they were asked to go back and kind of see whether they were willing to do like a follow-up, they said it was too dangerous, but even more than that, the government didn't want them to. And there was like a really big thing on the other two co-directors who shot it not really being willing to send it to How, because of the fact that it was an MTV movie, and they thought, oh, that's American. We don't know how they're going to want to spin it. So that just shows to me how raw the documentation of this movie was. And yeah,
Hmm.
it's some crazy stuff. So definitely check out 76 Days. It should be coming out soon. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on that one. Moving on to something that I would say should be a little bit more happier, literally because it's in the title, is the Hulu original picked up. Was supposed to go in theaters. Happiest season. You have thoughts on this, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good showcase for a lot of actors who I like a lot personally. I know Kristen Stewart is somebody that people are divided on, but I think post Twilight, she's turned into a very interesting actress, and she's good here. Aubrey Plaza is very good in a supporting role here. Alison Brie, who I like a lot, it's given sort of like a wet blanket character, but is still fun here. And
Mm-hmm.
Dan Levy absolutely steals the scenes that he's in. I love Mackenzie Davis. I don't love her character here, but that's okay. It's this holiday romantic comedy about this lesbian couple that goes to visit one of their parents, and on the way reveals that she's not out to her family. So
Yeah.
it's a whole story about navigating the area between being realizing that you are gay and coming out to the people who in your family, and being open about that. So a lot of the conflict is derived from this lack of telling people things, this inability to talk to people about what you're experiencing. And I just find that to be very frustrating to watch in a movie or a show. I think a lot of times you watch something and you just wish the characters would have a conversation and skip, 45 minutes of messing around the point. And I think that's ultimately what my frustration was, that this felt a little bit regressive, that we as a society are maybe past that kind of experience in a rom-com and maybe could get to something a little bit more interesting. But at the same point, like, I don't remember a lesbian rom-com getting this kind of financial backing, this kind of splashy cast, this kind of push in general. So, maybe it is notable in its own way, even if I wanted it to be a little bit less repressed.
I thought it was cute. Yeah, I think it would have done great if it was in theaters. It's X, right? It definitely is a movie where it's just switching up the roles in order to be able to fit the cliche rom-com that we have every year, and that's cool. I like Kristen Stewart in the movie. I know you're a fan of Mackenzie Davis, but I thought it was dope when Aubrey Plaza came out. She doesn't do much, but it's Aubrey Plaza. I'm a sucker. She doesn't have to do much, but she's become the indie queen this year.
Yeah, she set Twitter on fire and had basically all of the internet rooting for the
verses.
Abby
That's
Riley.
all you can ask for in a rom-com,
Yeah.
But no, I feel you. There's definitely the cliches that come with it of like, oh no, the political side of it. We're a political family, so we kind of need to hide the things that we have. And I think we'll get to that point where we have more open movies, I guess. And while this does go through a lot of the cliches, I think it does it with a good cast. I think Dan Levi has done a fantastic job of being able to be such a charismatic, like, character in everything that he's in, but also not just having all of the physicalness that comes to it, but like, he's really good at one-liners. He's very good at one-liners, and that's because he's a writer,
A big scene stealer here. And shouts to Devesh in the chat, who says Happiest season is like an early console game, trying something new but playing it far too safe.
That's fair. That's fair enough. But yeah, I would recommend it if you have Hulu. Go to hulu.com, catch it out. I think it's pretty good. But you caught something recently on Hulu that you need to bump up so that people know about it, because I was a fan of this on the intercut one. On the intercut halfway through, I said, Baby Teeth. Very good movie. Put it on your radar. To be honest, I've only caught it once. It might go up one, but that's only because the ending had me really sad.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little movie. Not necessarily a brand new release, but something that is available on Hulu, so you can go check it out right now. I caught up with it this weekend. And, it's just a very beautifully put together movie, finely acted by the cast, most notably Eliza Scanlen in the main role. People might know Eliza Scanlen from being the other sister in The Little Women, the least famous of those sisters. But there's a lot of really great performances in this one. Essie Davis, a favorite from the Babadook days, shows up and is absolutely great as Eliza Scanlen's mother. Ben Mendelsohn, who's always great as Eliza Scanlen's father, and they play a pair of parents who are dealing with their seriously ill teenage daughter. She has some type of advanced cancer, some type of terminal disease, and in her waning health, they try to accommodate her. She falls in love with a drug dealer. They worry about the type of influence he'll have over her, but at the same time, they're just concerned with trying to make their daughter happy and trying to give her a enjoyable final passage of time on Earth. And I think just in the way it captures these conflicted people who are trying to navigate a awful situation to the best of their abilities, it's very beautifully told and very heartbreaking. I really loved the camera work also in this movie. It creates some great visuals, but it's the performances that broke my heart by the end.
Easily. Yeah, I said my piece over on Intercut. Definitely go check out our halfway through the year. This one's definitely it's still there. It hasn't been pushed out to an honorable mention, but I know we got a buttload more to come out. I highly recommend this one. I'm glad you finally got the chance to catch it. It's a beautiful poster, very eye-catching poster, great performances, and it's so raw. It makes you feel so uncomfortable, even though the movie looks beautiful. But definitely catch this one. It's over on Hulu.
Hulu, yeah.
And I know it was getting a buttload of awards.
Yeah, Devesh said that it won a ton of Aussie awards. Tushar mentions the Baby Teeth ending gave him San Junipero vibes.
Ooh.
So people have been checking this one out, and it's definitely worth catching up with. I think you had it at number 7 on your best of 2020 so far list back
Yeah.
in June, July.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I did want to mention over on the chat, Alyssa Johnson brought up a pretty good point. I always love hearing some thoughts. She said the frustration of not being able to voice things is the point of the film. I think this is towards Happy Season. It's what pushes the conflict and makes the viewer feel what closeted people feel, in my opinion. So I always like hearing different opinions on the movie, so that's definitely a factor to add to it. And it had its cute jokes, so I wish, I really want to go back to theaters. Like, how different would the conversation be about these movies if we got to see it with other people, you know? Because that's like, especially on a Christmas movie, that's the whole point of it, you know?
Yeah.
But, Zach, I want to talk about a movie that I know you're not the biggest fan of, Hillbilly Elegy. We have to talk about it because it's going to be Oscar season. We know this is a movie that's going to be hyped up a lot. But I swear to the Lord Almighty, if Glenn Close and Amy Adams, who together share, I believe, 13 Oscar nominations, 13, Zach, if this is the one they win for, do you know how much it sucks that we then have to remember Hillbilly Elegy for the rest of our life? Look, I don't even hate the movie that much. I think that there is a good story in there, and it's one that I believe also has incredible performances. My only question is, why does it look like poop? Why does it feel like I'm watching a 3D movie without the glasses? I know what's going on screen, but something feels a little off. Your thoughts?
I mean, look, so I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm not going to comment on the movie itself. But the reviews tend to be saying that there's just a lack of authenticity with this one. And I feel like you can see that even just from the trailer, how much it feels like people playing pretend rather than authentically depicting something. I don't know. Ron Howard has these occasional melodramas that are very performative but not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. They all really wanted it here, but sometimes you can't just want it, you know. It's got to be a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm. I feel you. Zach, do you think it could have been the fact that this Hillbilly Elegy movie cost $45 million to make? We complain about these movies not existing, yet here it is. This should give this movie to Oscilloscope. Give this movie to like a minor studio. It definitely comes off a lot like Oscar bait, and that sucks because I love Amy Adams. At the end of the movie, he shows you a couple of pictures because again, it is based off of a true story, and we'll talk more about it in Intercut, especially once Zach gets a good watch on it. But I've been listening to the book because this is based off of a real story of a dude, you know, the main character in the film,
J.D. Vance.
But he has some political opinions that people don't like. But on top of that, you know, it is a personal story for him, though, where Glenn Close, by the time that you see what his mama looked like, damn, Glenn Close became her practically. But with that comes a lot of memes because just the way that it's shot, it's like it's unnecessary. There's some great moments that they catch about like, you know, how difficult it is to have to pay things with multiple credit cards. But it's like Amy Adams' character comes in and sees it happen, and it's like we didn't need that. We didn't need her to see it because then it like the setup is weird as opposed to just letting it play out organically, and it plays off more like a woe is me. And I know that they cut out a lot of the political stuff, so that's always another thing to have on there. But maybe with a different director, maybe with a different studio, maybe if it wasn't $45 million and clearly Oscar bait, it could have been better. I don't mind the performances, but it would suck to see that this is the one that's on their record for the rest of their lives, you know. But we'll see. Yeah. I saw some people mentioning stuff in the comments. Just so you know, if you head on over to Twitter, we do have Amazon's been really cool and have been hitting us up with different little screener links. So for those of you who are watching in the live stream, I don't know if they're all out yet, but we tweeted about it. It's over on the site as well. I really enjoyed last year at TIFF. There was this movie called Sound of Metal. This one comes out next week. We have free screening links. So if you want to go sign up, I believe it'll be playing on Wednesday. Just a little quick plug-in over there. Just go on over to the site, theatozshow.com. Have a screening link there. It's over on Twitter as well. At LME Explain. If you don't have Amazon Prime, because I know how expensive it is. It keeps going up and up and up. You have a way to watch this movie early, and I am really crossing my fingers hoping he may get a nomination for this role. I thought he did a pretty good job, but just wanted to give a shout out there. For anyone who wanted to catch a free movie, that's one of the best parts about this channel is that now I can offer free movies to you guys. So definitely go check that
Yeah.
out if you're curious in catching it. But let's wrap up some of the other ones. I'll go through it pretty quickly. There was another movie that came out on Netflix called Don't Listen, a foreign film. I believe it was, I'm not exactly sure where it's from, but it's Voces is the original translation, which, it's a lot of voices happening in here, and where a boy kind of he can hear a lot of things. It's funny that it's called Don't Listen, but listen, there is a cool mystery thriller that's happening within the movie about a boy who's hearing a lot of voices, and after an incident happens, his dad kind of has to uncover what's going on and hires a father-daughter, if I remember correctly, duo who come in to help out. And there's a good mythology that happens in the background on what may be causing these voices that the kid is listening to and how the rest of the people who are in the house start listening to them. It was a cute little horror film, which I guess is not the best way to describe a horror film.
Yeah.
But I thought it was all right. It's a good passing of the time. Some of it cliche. You may have seen it done better in other movies, but nonetheless, it's playing over on Netflix if you wanted something to turn on. And I guess listen in the background. There is Don't Listen. So check that one out if you're curious. I personally would I'd give it a stream it, but that's perfect because it is streaming, I guess. Let me go through some of the docs that I saw.
I was just going to throw in that it is a movie from Spain. You were mentioning.
Spain. There you go. Thank you very much. A movie from America, though. Or maybe it's Canadian because I believe he's Canadian. I got a couple docs. I always find it fascinating when all of these artists are coming up with these different documentaries, but they have to play the game of who are you selling it to? Is it Netflix? Is it going to be Prime? Who's it going to be? Shawn Mendes got to deal with Netflix, and it was a cute little just breakdown on the writing of his upcoming album and his relationship with Camila and just all the people around him. I thought it was okay. I don't mind Shawn Mendes, but my apologies to all the retail workers who have to put up with Shawn Mendes. Another one that came out. Again, I don't know if you're a Shawn Mendes fan, if you want to say anything about Shawn Mendes.
I don't know if I could tell you a single Shawn Mendes song.
Damn, okay. I think he's an okay artist, but I'm also not a teen girl, so I know that's his demographic. I'm also not a teen girl, but I am a big fan of Taylor Swift. I do love her albums. I am actually a Swiftie. But it's because I'm a Swiftie that I'm critical on, what was it, Reputation? Not a big fan of that. Thought Lover was okay. I loved Folklore. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Folklore, yeah. And while I did not like, what was the Netflix one that she had?
Miss Americana.
Yeah, Miss Americana. I thought that was an okay documentary. I think they could have captured a lot more differently. It didn't feel as raw as a lot of people felt it to be. I still had way more questions on different things on it. It's an okay doc. I like this doc because it's just, let me spend 10 minutes explaining to you why I wanted to write this song. I get all the backdrop to it, and then I get to see you recording the song. It's very simple. It does what it's supposed to do. So for that, it's playing over on Disney Plus. It's nothing too fantastic, but for the type of doc that it is, the type of music doc where it's literally just, it's in the title, studio sessions. It did what it needed to do, and I think what'll be a make it or break it is if you love the album, because you're sitting and listening to the album as she talks to you about it. So if you're a fan of Taylor Swift, definitely go check that out. I liked it even more than the previous documentary that she made. Really quick.
I think one of the things that I didn't love about Miss Americana is that it felt a lot like a promotional material for
but
Taylor.
It was at Sundance, and they pitched it like it was something else. Yeah.
Does this Folklore doc also feel that way?
No, because I feel she opens up way more than she did in the other one. A lot of it doesn't feel like, oh, well, I feel this way politically. I just wasn't able to before because they owned me. Right. Well, they still own you, so what changed? And I'm cool with like learning about what to do differently. And I think in this one she's just more honest, and it could just be the genre. She kind of goes back more to a style that I prefer. So again, that is preference, but it's just the approach that they took at it. This is a studio session, and because of that, it's not that hard to fail why you wrote a song and then performing it. It's pretty simple, but yeah, there is that one to check out. Disney Plus also had Black Beauty. I'm a big fan of the original, so I'm going to rate that one right there. My dad, when he was still around, had a huge Black Beauty poster. I know this image. It's engraved in my mind. think it's a beautiful looking movie. Playing over on Amazon Prime. Disney said, yeah, let's take that and remake it into whatever this is. I'm not even going to talk about it. Black Beauty is up on Disney Plus. Even look at this. Look at this. They didn't even put it as a where to watch over here. They're like, you don't want to watch. You don't want to watch this one. If I'm not mistaken, Mackenzie Foy. Yes, she was the baby from Breaking Dawn.
Oh yeah.
So she's been in a couple of
Come
stuff.
a long way.
Hey, she's been in big projects. Black Beauty is a movie that is out on Disney Plus, but the original Black Beauty from '94, oof, that movie's up on Amazon Prime. So just to put that on y'all's attention. Moving on to the final one before we take y'all's questions is the HBO Max. And damn, is there a difference between HBO Max and HBO? I can't even find it over here, but it's the new Melissa McCarthy movie called Super Intelligence. I guess Letterboxd doesn't want me to pull it up, but I got a trailer playing right here. So I have the trailers. I pull it up. Zach, you were able to catch this one. Tell the people why you think it's 5 out of 5 stars.
I mean, I don't know if I go 5 out of 5 stars, but this is another collaboration between Melissa McCarthy and her husband, Ben Falcone. They've previously made Tammy and The Boss together, as well as Life of the Party. One thing that makes me prefer Super Intelligence to any of those 3 movies is it's much less about the gross out slapstick type of material you occasionally get from Melissa McCarthy and much more of like a warm, endearing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
She plays just this very sweet, nebbish woman who is just trying to get a break. And I think that's a better, more empathetic or deserving rather of sympathy character from Melissa McCarthy than her usual kind of loud, obnoxious characters. And in that way it works because you have Melissa McCarthy who can be very charming, Bobby Cannavale who is extremely charming, and they have this kind of sweet romantic comedy energy while there's this overarching crazy plot involving an AI who may or may not be able to destroy the world.
Yeah.
Some of the plot mechanics are pretty stupid, and I don't know if I buy any of the rationale for it, but it sets up a few fun jokes and a few fun moments. I just think it's something that gets by on the strength of its cast.
Mm-hmm. It's a goofy movie. This is like what we got: Central Intelligence that she's been. Now she's got Super Intelligence that she's been. She's got Spy that's kind of like that as well. To me, it just shows that there is a massive difference between HBO Max and HBO. It's an okay movie. There's nothing bad about it. If you haven't, you've seen this man. This is her husband. He pops in. I mean, look at it. Look at the movies he's directed. Right? He's been in every single one. He makes a cameo, including the movies that he hasn't directed. I think it's a cute working relationship that they have. I applaud them for that. I think it's freaking adorable. I wouldn't rewatch any of these movies though. And just the thoughts on how HBO Max. They're playing the game. You and I think for the past 3 years have voted HBO. Not Max, but HBO as one of our favorite streaming services. But they realized they got to play the game. And now HBO Max has, a lot of just stuff that Netflix would have picked up or Hulu would have picked up and would have never seen the light of day on HBO. They have a reality series from the showrunners of, what was the Netflix one? Love is Blind. It's like now they have those type of things over on HBO Max, but they're trying to split it. That's the HBO Max brand, and this is the HBO brand. But at what point I don't know. I hope it doesn't blend too much that the quality goes down. But we know this is the game that they're playing. It's because of HBO Max that they're going to be able to have Wonder Woman. So I guess that's a cool thing. But
yeah,
it's an okay movie. It's cute for what it is. Check it out if you're interested. But now, time for the questions, Zach. What we got?
All right, so we are taking questions from the chat. So if you want to get a question answered, now is a good time to throw it into the chat. First of all, Yasmin asked us, anybody hype for the A24 movie Minari coming out in January, which you don't have to remind us. We love Minari. We've been talking about it back since it played at Sundance. It will be on all the good best of 2020 lists.
Easily. I cannot wait for people to catch this movie. Absolutely fantastic, and I hope it makes its way to get some noms.
Although it does bring up a question that if it isn't released until January, can you put it on your 2020 ranked list?
You can do whatever you want.
The Oscars just broke all the rules.
The Oscars broke the rules. For a reminder, I believe it's until late February, right?
Yeah, until the end of February is this year's qualifying window.
So I would highly recommend it. Definitely check out Minari, which is technically the way the director said. And if it's available, show on some virtual festivals. It's even worth dropping that money there.
Yeah. Christian asked, "Are you guys still thinking about Waves?"
Always thinking about Waves.
Yeah, definitely still thinking about Waves.
Bruh.
Always thinking about Waves.
Always thinking about Waves. I was literally thinking about it last night. I was like, do I still have that? I'm gonna change it come 2021. But yeah, glad you asked. Still thinking about that.
Have you guys checked out Wolfwalkers yet? Possible contender to beat Soul at Best Animated Feature. Did we? I don't know if we talked about Wolfwalkers on the stream a couple weeks ago, but
we were able to mention it, so I'll give it a quick little shout out right now. I think you loved it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a beautifully drawn and really sweet animated story. I liked it quite a bit.
So yeah, big thumbs up on that one.
The second half of that question, though, what kind of shot do you think it has at potentially winning Best Animated Film? We haven't had a chance to see Soul yet.
Okay,
but
yeah.
Pixar tends to dominate that category.
Disney lied to us and said they were going to send us Soul, but the soulless people didn't send it to us. But I will be honest, I do love the energy that these guys have and what they've been saying. I'm blanking on if it's Ross Stewart or yeah, it's got to be Tom Moore. Tom Moore's talked about with his previous movies. They've made it. You know, all the way to the nomination, only to lose every single time to a big studio, Disney Pixar. So I am 100% rooting for this movie to win. But again, haven't seen Soul. But nonetheless, I am 100% rooting for this movie to win. I love what they do with the 2D animation.
Yeah. Hermela pointed out Carson should be catching up on Fincher with you guys. And Carson, a shout out to Carson. He was in our chat earlier.
Who let him in?
You might have a special surprise coming up on the Intercut podcast later this week.
Yeah, you guys do. We just had them on, so definitely if you have not catched up on your Fincher with Mank. Does Mank have an E?
No, just M-A-N-K.
Just M-A-N-K? All right. I've been spelling it with an E. Mank. Mank. That's coming out on Netflix, I believe, this following week, if I'm not mistaken. Super hyped for that one. Another one where they lied to us and said they were going to send it, but that's okay. They sent it to the critics who... Never mind. Mank will be coming out, so I kind of went back and rewatched all the movies. I bought all of them, and we have some special guests coming on next week on the Intercut podcast. That rhymes with Parquist and Yef Lars. It was really fun. We literally just shot it, so Zach will be editing that, and it'll be right before this one comes up. Going through, one of the craziest filmographies, man. One of the craziest filmographies. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that one.
Definitely. Sarah Swayze asked, what is your favorite streaming service? I feel like we've answered versions of this question. Maybe if not on here, then definitely on Intercut. But, you know, there's lots of lots of new movies being offered, and all the streaming services are competing. HBO is throwing out Wonder Woman movie later this year. Yes, Disney Plus has given us a Pixar movie in not so long.
Just complained how HBO Max may be ruining HBO, or my personal favorite to answer the question. But Criterion's been doing dope, man. The Criterion channel, I've been collecting more physically, but I really like what they've been doing with the channel. I think it's absolutely awesome. If you have not been over on the... did I just write channel? Criterion channel and the Criterion collection are kind of two different things, because now they actually have an entire thing on here. I'm not signed into it, but it's dope because it's the entire, well, not the entire collection, but they add all of the special features, the essays that critics have done behind the scenes. If there's one thing I will add is that there was one for, actually talking about the Criterion, the newest one for The Irishman. I think The Irishman just had a Criterion that came out, if I'm not mistaken. And over on Netflix, the YouTube channel, they practically posted all of the special features. Watch, let me pull it up right here. So, the whole point of the Criterion collection is to kind of get the special features, right?
Yeah.
And then Netflix just took the special features and uploaded them in its entirety. So I'm not
Yep.
mad because I am always for accessibility. And I love that people could just go to YouTube and catch it. You know, you don't have to drop the $40 on a Criterion Blu-ray that I just bought. But it's available for you to catch there. But, you know, that is kind of the appeal to when it comes to Criterion, the fact that they have all of these extra special features. And I think the channel does a fantastic job at doing that. And it's not all highbrow movies. They had Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the list. There's, more recent movies on there as well. I highly recommend checking out the Criterion if you haven't in the past.
Placeholder asked, what happened to the good Netflix content? A couple people were saying Netflix is not as good as it once was. What do you think's happening to Netflix right now, Art?
I think it's still making good content. The thing is that, to make those 5 great movies that end up getting the Oscar buzz, right? Like I still got Irishman over here on the list. I can think of Marriage Story. I can think of Roma before it. You're going to have a lot of garbage because you're trying to judge, again, Criterion Channel is different because it's not fighting to be, anything bigger than it is. Netflix is a network. Netflix is the distributor. And at that point, they're creating as much content as possible. They don't care what it is. Because remember, they're not just making content for us who want to see really great films. They're making the kids' films. They're making the family. They're making anything that people are going to watch. And if they watch reality TV, they're going to be making that. So I think it's just a matter of the abundance of content that we see. And when you're getting one good movie out of, 10, 15? Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different than when you get, 3 new HBO stuff that are all quality as opposed to, 15 new Netflix things and only one of them is good.
Right. HBO has always been like the quality service and Netflix is kind of the quantity service right now.
Yeah.
But with that great quantity, you do get some amazing stuff in there too.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think you got it right in that Netflix is thinking about so many things right now. Thinking about reality TV, thinking about international properties that maybe they're just a little too wide focused right now to be giving you hit after hit after hit.
Easily, yeah. There's still a business side of it, and if they don't pay attention to that, there's also like them just disappearing. It's just the case, but yeah. At the end of the day, I still root for Criterion and HBO. I think those are the best, but without a doubt, if we're talking bang for your buck, it's still Netflix. Still Netflix.
Yeah. Devesh asked, can we know too much about a subject, or can knowing too much about a subject hurt the enjoyment of a film, in particular biopics? What do you think? Has knowing too much about a subject hurt your enjoyment of any films?
I want to say definitely because you're more critical for it. You're not taking it as it is. You're waiting for them to hit the beats. But at the same time, how many people saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and had no idea because they didn't know the case. So they're watching this movie not knowing what it's leading up to, right? And I feel it could go the opposite way as well. You may not know enough about something, and that can also ruin you not being in the know. So I don't know. I don't know if you have more to add to that.
No, I think it's interesting because it's a matter of like how the filmmaker is going about it, right? I think I knew enough going into The Imitation Game to poke some holes in that movie and make it a little bit worse of an experience for me. But like you said, Tarantino frequently messes with history, and being able to point at the film and say, okay, that's wrong, doesn't change your enjoyment of it because he's doing it in such an intentional way, right? So if you're going for it to be this perfect encapsulation of what a person was or what they represent, that's one thing. And then maybe, you're a little bit more tied to doing things exactly as they happened in a way that's not like Bohemian Rhapsody or something. But then maybe you're making a movie like Rocket Man and it's a little bit more flamboyant and a little bit more all over the place. And they kind of maybe would change some things in a more intentional way.
I feel you. Yeah, easily. Let's see.
Smart Mudkip asked, chicken nuggets or tenders?
Tenders. That's a good question. See, this is what I strive for in these streams. No, I'm actually a big chicken tender fan. If you know me, I'm a big chicken tender fan.
I think you get more meat, just like a bit more satisfying bite.
It's more, dare I say, tender. So always have to go with that.
What movie, or I think this is Tushar asked, what movies are you expecting to premiere at Sundance? I don't know if you've thought about this
Oh
at
man.
all, but it's kind
None.
of this is one of those things that's kind of hard to do because I think you and I are always looking for the movies that are going to surprise us, that are maybe from film, first time filmmakers, and
Easily.
that we're not expecting. But there are a few movies that have been delayed that people are hoping show up at Sundance,
Hmm.
most notably Green Knight, the
Oh my
A24 Dev
goodness.
Patel movie.
That'd be
People are
crazy.
hoping gets that Sundance premiere.
I would love that. Yeah, I can't say what I'm excited for yet because for me, Sundance, it's always the movies that I don't know of yet. But we'll definitely once the lineup drops. We just got hit up today about South by. South by approved your boy again. So we got.
Oh shoot!
Yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you, Zach, but yeah, they approved your boy again. So we will be covering South by next year. Shout out to them. We applied for Sundance, so we'll see. I'm always the person who always prefers paying for it, but it's always dope to get approved. We made it, mama. But for Sundance, it's interesting, and we talked about it last week that they're going to be going all out online, just like South by. So as soon as it drops, we will be there covering it. We'll be doing the live stream during the festival as well, which is gonna be shorter this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe it's only 5-6 days, but I'll keep you updated once the lineup drops. What's gonna be up? But yeah. Oh, Slam Dance unveiled their lineup.
Oh, did they
Oh,
really?
look at that!
16 hours ago. Wow. Okay, we're out
Wow,
of the loop.
that's dope. Yeah, we'll be bringing this up on Intercut and probably next week on the stream, but for sure, yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope.
Are you guys excited for the special Euphoria episode on December 6th? You know we are excited to catch up with Rue and whoever they decide to show us. It's going to be interesting because it's not like a full cast episode.
Well, yeah, they had to stop filming, which sucks. So I'm
Yeah.
curious how they're gonna play that into it. Big fans of Euphoria. Someone was asking about Euphoria the movie. I'm not sure if I have. I feel like maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But in terms of the Euphoria on HBO, we're ecstatic about it. Damn, there's a couple Euphorias
Yeah.
for sure. But there's
I think
only
it's
one Euphoria
exciting
in our heart.
too. I think it's exciting too that they're doing this kind of like mid season break special episode thing.
That's cool.
I wish more series were a little bit more experimental in how they delivered their content and it wasn't always just like, okay, a new 10 episode season after the last 10 episode season.
Yep, I agree with you. Let's see. Dejanae had asked, will you make an LME or an intercut about Blind Manor? We talked a little bit about it over on intercut for sure.
Yeah.
Including the box set they gave us. If you haven't seen the box set they sent us, I am still working on the Blind Manor one. Sorry guys, it's dragging, but it will be out soon.
Yeah. There's an intercut. I think it's 87 or something. You'll see the Blind Manor in the thumbnail, and we get into it on that one.
Yeah, a couple people had mentioned Julie and the Phantoms, which I haven't seen yet, but people have brought that up. I have seen Raising Dion. I thought it was a cute show. I haven't gone back to read the comic yet. I agree with the controversy on the casting. Got a little goofy at points, but I do want to cover it before season 2. I can't remember if this was one of the ones that ended up getting canceled or not. But I love Raising Dion, not for a positive reason, but there's this Raising Dion clip I've used multiple times of him he's skateboarding, and you could see the strings. I love that clip. I love bad clips a lot. Like I don't even hate on them. I just think they're fantastic. But yeah, those are, I think, they're both on Netflix if I'm not mistaken. The two movies I just mentioned.
Yeah. Orbit Glitch asked, with all the movies you guys watch, do you think you can make a movie?
Yeah, we can make a movie. It's completely different once we make the movie. If it's the movie we wanted to make due to budget constraints,
Yeah.
due to, what do they always say? There's 3-4 movies that you make: the movie in your mind, the movie that happens when you're filming it, the movie the editor gives you, and then all of that is irrelevant, right? If you don't even include producers and whatever cutting it, it's what the people perceive. It's at the end of the day what people like to take out of it. But yeah, Zach works on a lot of music videos, so definitely go check those out. I put him a lot in community posts. He's worked on commercials and such. I've done shorts. I won a student Emmy, so if that means anything, I guess that's there for a commercial. But more than that, I think one of the things that we love to do, especially here with this channel with Intercut, is just putting more movies on people's radar and just loving movies, because I think we're so used to people, especially in today's age, like, look at this, man, look at all these movies out there. You can't keep up with all of them. So it's almost like with everybody being so busy with so many streaming services, there's a money thing for sure, but there's a time thing. And I know many of the times people may just watch a movie and dismiss it, may not go back and give it its due. But, I love looking at a movie and wanting to see it from the perspective of not just the people who made it, but from the people who love it. I can hate a movie, but it's always intrigues me why people connect to something. And realizing that, I think those are the best filmmakers as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. He framed this question in such a way where he's asking about the amount of movies we watch, and by doing this the podcast and the live stream and the videos, we end up watching a lot. And I think rather than necessarily giving us the knowledge of like, okay, we've seen these movies and now we can go make a good movie, I think it's actually just giving us the knowledge that, oh, there's kind of like a million ways you can make a good movie, and there's all these different things about these movies that might not seem great to everybody that we can appreciate. So it definitely it opens up your mind to how many different ways you can tackle making a movie. And if that means we might have a little more knowledge if we wanted to make one, then yeah, maybe it does help us.
I ate at Peter Luger's 3 times, so I know how to make a steak. That's how I see it. This is an interesting one. The Vesh says, The Witch of the Lighthouse.
Ooh, 2 Robert Eggers, A24, hard to penetrate horror movies.
It's The Witch.
Are you going to be mad at me if I choose The Lighthouse?
You see like a huge thing that says Zach has been disconnected from the call. No, that's fine. That's fine. I know plenty of people who would pick The Lighthouse as well. There's just a lot that I like in The Witch. I didn't need that many. I mean, you still needed subtitles, I'm not going to lie. But I needed less help from subtitles with The Witch and The Lighthouse. But I am due a rewatch in The Lighthouse. Very much so. Again, that'd be a great example of one that didn't connect to me. But I'm always curious to see what people gravitated towards that, because to me, he is one of the biggest indie filmmakers. He gets budgets to make crazy stuff like The Witch and The Lighthouse. That to me is a true independent artist. Whether I love his films or not, I know that guy is making crazy stuff. Like, have you seen the scripts of The Lighthouse, what he does at the beginning?
No, actually.
He's like, this will be shot in the ratio that he says. No questions or something like that. You got to search it. It is the funniest. It's like in bold, and it's like, this is what the movie is in. It will not change. So yeah, great auteur in terms of that.
Absolutely.
Someone had asked an interesting question. Back off strikey. We'll answer a couple more and wrap it up. But I like this one because this is one that you definitely, every time there's a new viewer, you kind of like want to catch them up. And I think we kind of touched on it. But they asked, do you follow a criteria when rating and talking about a movie? Zach, I'm curious about you. Do you have anything in particular that you do?
Well, I do have on my Letterboxd, letterboxd.com/Zshevich, a little bit of a breakdown of what my 5-star ratings mean in terms of translating that. And I did that just as a way of helping myself keep it all in line with when I rate a movie. I want to know that it is on the same level as the other movies that I rated. That said, 5-star scale is not exactly the most detailed way to analyze a movie, and it's hard. Mm-hmm. For me, I tend to try to underestimate how I felt about a movie and allow it the room to grow in my mind, because sometimes you just need to sit on a movie, and sometimes you don't think you need to sit on a movie, but then it just sits in the back of your head and it grows. Mm-hmm. So I try not to, even though I do 5-star ratings and it does matter to me what I give them, I try not to be too beholden to whatever my initial thoughts were when I leave a movie, because sometimes that's not the way you'll feel about a movie in the end.
Easily. I've been pretty vocal. I hate star ratings. I'm not the big on qualifying it, on quantifying art, but you kind of have to when it comes to just the world, I guess. You know, so many people, that's what they rate things on, and that's why my rating has always been, if you go to my YouTube in the description, like in the actual like about thing, I kind of, to me it's more so, I'm more concerned about your time and your money. I think every movie deserves a watch because it's an artist telling a story. Whenever the only time a movie pisses me off is when it's just a product and it comes out as a product, right?
Yeah.
But I think that there's something to learn from each movie, and just because it doesn't reflect, it doesn't hit me, doesn't mean it's not going to hit somebody else. And I think so many people with star ratings, that's all they look at, and they don't care anything you say. They'll skip to the end of the video. They'll just scroll to where the rating is, right? And we all do it. We know we do it, right? It's like saying, no one cares about beauty. No one cares what you wear. And the first thing you do when you leave the house, even though you have that philosophy, is people are still going to notice those things. And when it comes to movies, it's always the thumbs up, thumbs down, the rating side of it. But I think it limits the way we talk about movies a lot. And that's been a big thing on my channel that I've been trying to push. But Letterboxd has this dope thing where you can get your stats. And those stats only work when you have ratings. Like, they go so in depth. It lets you know what your favorite cinematographer is based off your ratings. It lets you know who your favorite production designer is, and I cannot lie, those are numbers. So there's always going to be that fight between art and numbers, and whether things can be quantifiable or not. And I know a lot of filmmakers on Letterboxd tend to not review movies. They just put that they've watched them.
Right.
So I'm kind of halfway in between, because I kind of have to give a rating. But yeah, it's just, I always try to judge a movie for what the author is trying to say, not what the fans expect, I guess.
Absolutely.
Really quick, Ronnie Estevez said, do you think HBO Max is worth it? Should they drop Hulu, Zach? Zach, you have a financial decision to make immediately.
Wait, what was this question?
Do you think HBO Max is worth it so they can drop Hulu?
Ooh.
Zach,
so
should they feed their family, or should they get HBO Max?
I think if you prefer TV to movies, watch Hulu. If you prefer movies to TV, get HBO Max.
Damn, that was clean. That's good for sure. Tushar on the super chat. Appreciate you, Tushar. Always coming in. Listen to Intercut Pod. I will, Tushar. I will. Especially this upcoming one. I'm excited for y'all to see this upcoming one. We went at it with Fincher.
Yeah.
We went at it. Let's see. Let's answer just a couple more, and then we're going to wrap it up. Again, for those of you who are joining in on the live chat right now, we appreciate you guys always coming in. We try to do these every Monday. Down below, you can see we have some of the movies picked for the week. Head on over to Letterboxd. We try to log all our stuff there. They don't pay us. I just love this. I pay them, as you can see right there. And I got the pro account, too. I think they're doing a sale right now. Might have to jump up for the patron. That's what allows you to do the stats and stuff. But I think it's a really cool platform to just be able to log your movies. That's why we like using it. Highly recommend it. And I try to log all my favorite movies. So if someone had just asked, what's the most recent masterpiece? Here they are in order of what I've got. Definitely check out Zach's, check out ours, check out a lot of the people that I follow, because I think they have good opinions in movies. Let's see. Any good one that stands out to you?
Paulos asked, y'all think Uncut Gems got the best playback value in recent memory? It's definitely up there. That's a movie that as soon as it starts, I feel like you get brought into that universe and you're on that roller coaster, whether or not you want to be until the end. But it is a stressful watch and not exactly one that ends in the most uplifting fashion. So I'd go with Palm Springs just because I find it funny every time I've seen it. And that's been maybe 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. Mine, other ones that I would bring up that we mentioned earlier on would have been Lover's Rock. Caught that 3 times.
Yeah.
Shiva Baby. That's another one I'm adding to that list for sure. So yeah, definitely things to add. I saw some people talking about Promising Young Woman. They're worried they're not going to see it. I'm worried you're not going to see it either. They say they have a Christmas release.
I think a bunch of critics got access to it this weekend, and it made me regret not sending an email earlier. So,
and it seems more and more.
I'll send that email.
It seems more and more becoming split, but I liked it. I'm excited for this one because I love movies where people are split on it. It is boring when everyone trashes a movie. It is even more boring when everyone just loves a movie. I love it when I don't want to say a divided internet, but I love it when we actually have a discussion going on and seeing different perspectives from the movie. I fell on the positive side for this one. Very curious to see where everybody else falls on it. Let's see. Some people bringing up Palm Springs as well as Paulos.
Hey, I got
Gems 5 times. What's up, Zach?
I got a question for you. Special treat for the people watching the live stream. Let's talk about the New York Times best 25 actors of the century so far.
Let's wrap it up with that.
What did you think of the
I
list? What
thought,
what were your initial reactions to it?
well, here's the thing. I'm not subscribed to them, so I'm about to get hit probably with the zoinks. Um,
Yeah, I can chat you the list if that's helpful.
it was interesting. Look, I like seeing Gael. I liked seeing several of the people who came up on this list. Very interesting choices made here and there on certain things. What was your thought?
So as somebody who occasionally tries to make lists of movies and of actors, and has knows how frustrating that practice can be, it's not exactly easy to make a lot of people happy with a list like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did a pretty solid job in terms of representing a wide swath of types of actors, from types of movies, from types of genres and stuff. Uh, Comedy is often a genre that gets underrepresented on lists like these, and
Mm-hmm.
they have Melissa McCarthy, albeit somewhat low on the list, but somebody even at that point in the list she was listed, a lot of people thought it was crazy that she was there.
I know.
Action movies are something that are often disregarded, and you got Keanu Reeves all the way at number 4.
That was wild
Uh,
to me, and I don't think they gave a justification for that. It sounded like a meme. It
yeah,
sounded
I
like a
mean,
meme. The way it
they got the
sounded
people
like a
talking.
Letterboxd person trying to defend that. I just saying. No offense to Letterboxd. We on Letterboxd right now, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
great choices. I loved, like Kim and Hee, fantastic. Absolutely. I haven't seen this new one or seen this one right here, but she's absolutely fantastic in The Handmaiden. But there is some interesting choices up over here. Some interesting. Oh, I just paused right here on this one. The Creed one, the Michael B. Jordan having the best publicist tweets. Those tweets were hilarious to get him on this list. I've only liked him when he's been with Coogler. That's me. I lost him already on this list, but
yeah.
that one was I know one that people were arguing for. Tilda Swinton was too low on this list if we're keeping it a buck, but
Yeah.
Again, someone had mentioned in the chat as well that they don't mind seeing Denzel at the top. I don't mind seeing Denzel at the top either, but it was interesting to see
Same.
the defense for Joaquin Phoenix being one of the greatest, but not having Joker be brought up. But they do bring
Yeah,
it
they
up
did
for
an
other
interesting
things.
thing where they kind of focused on like 2, 3, maybe 4 roles from each of these actors, and what they omitted is about just as interesting as what they chose, because there's so many Melissa McCarthy movies that would be unjustifiable to mention in a New York Times article praising her,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't mention those movies. They mention the ones that have gotten good reviews, and they mention the drama that she did, Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yeah.
But I do think they do a pretty good job of capturing a lot of zeitgeist actors. Viola Davis, who you're on, is somebody who's routinely praised from up down because she's such a great actress. Denzel, who's given such a variety of performances and is one of the last true like movie star guys that we've got. Oscar Isaac, who's become this new chameleon. I'm glad that they're all represented. Saoirse, who is trying to close in on Meryl Streep's Oscar records despite
Yep.
being less than 30 years old.
Shout out to her.
It's a good list. I don't know if there's anybody you thought should have been on there that wasn't. I was definitely surprised that both Meryl Streep and Leonardo DiCaprio weren't mentioned.
Was Kate Blanchett on it?
No Kate Blanchett, no Kate Winslet either.
Whoa. Yeah, those two for sure. I think they're top of their game. I love seeing Tilda on there. Too low, but yeah, them two for sure.
Mhm.
For sure. But yeah,
I'd throw some love to Christian Bale, who, he
hey.
gets made fun of occasionally, but also gives some amazing performances and has 2 Oscars to his name.
Yeah. Was Fassbender on it?
No Fassbender either.
Wow. Okay. I see. I did like though that they had a couple of international stars there, so it's not a terrible list. They got people talking, some interesting choices there, some interesting excerpts, but hey, overall, I'm curious to see what's on y'all's list. Let us know down below in the comments. Let us know in the chat. It's always interesting to just see different perspectives of it. But yeah, overall, I thought it was all right. Any other questions we should answer before we wrap up here?
What's the stream about? The stream's about to end. They needed a few more foreign actors, says Paulos. Yeah, potentially.
Sure.
I do think they did a good job of including foreign actors for an American list.
Yeah.
I think I think your average American is going to read that list and be like, "Who the hell are these five
For
or six
sure.
names?"
Easily. But overall, I thought it was a pretty solid list. Other than that, though, thank you guys for joining in on these this LME streams, this Letterboxd Mondays, where we wrap up everything that's come out and answer some of your questions. Always like getting some input from y'all. If there's any recommendations that you got, hit us up over on Letterboxd. Both of ours are down below in the description. Hit us up over at Twitter at LME or LME Explain. Let us know what movies you have on your radar, things you want us to catch. Working on some LMEs as well as the Intercut bracket that's going to be coming out next week. We got some pretty dope guests about a pretty dope director. It's going to be fun. But again, join us next week on Monday. We'll be talking and going through all the movies that have been released week by week and just prepping you up for the upcoming festivals. Make sure you check out Sundance and South by if you're interested in those. I know we always bring it up when the festivals are starting, but this is when I got to mention it in case you want to go, because this time you ain't even got to go anywhere. They're going to be in the comfort of your own home. So definitely check those out if you're curious. Zach, close it out. Any other things you want to say?
No, definitely check out some of the movies that we recommended. Stuff like 76 Days is out in virtual theaters Friday. Stuff like Small Axe is releasing new stuff every Friday. And there's already a couple Small Axe movies up there. So, check those out. Check out the Intercut podcast, youtube.com/intercutpod, where we are updating you with new recommendations as well. And yeah, thanks for tuning into the live stream.
For sure. Let us know your favorites of the week. We got some picks in the description, as you can see right there. Until next time, keep watching movies, and we'll see you guys later. See you.